So how was your 2020 starting off?
Oh, good. Started with friends and family, with the celebration of New Year's for the first
Yeah.
time since my first child was born. So it was nice. It was good. Yeah, I think sometimes we get very confused with how to say the allegoric way of speaking, and we
Yeah.
forget about the actual facts. It's echoed a lot with me, this message from Sadhguru, because I often ask myself this question: but how do I distinguish, the babbling of my head, from the truth of the heart?
Yeah.
And uh, when I heard this message, first of all, it made me smile because I was like, okay, that's a funny way to put it. Your heart is just a pump.
Yeah.
And another thing was, basically how to distinguish whether it's a good idea or not. You basically make yourself accountable in the future. How happy you are with what you've done. And I
Yeah.
think this is the best litmus test that you can have. So I thought it was a very nice disambiguation of, what does your heart tell you? My heart tells me that it's bumping at 65 beats per minute. In my previous job, I did a lot of, let's say, public speaking. I did a lot of presentations to press.
Okay.
And I'm doing some kind of economic analysis or data analysis sometimes, and I'm presenting the results to people. I was also doing some summary of legislative developments in a specific field, and I was presenting it to people, not necessarily knowing the subject very deeply, but at least I could present, at least the certain level of
Yeah.
of information. And I think I got quite used to it. Let's say it was mostly always the same group of people, but nevertheless,
Practice.
yeah, it was a good practice for me. Yeah. And I also, most of the people who work in communications, I'm often very good friends with them, and they often
Yeah.
give me good tips. Well, I think the video you referred to was the video where I was telling the story about how I met my husband, I think. And it's the story that is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
It's a very romantic story about, how we've been dancing once a week for years, before even, how to say, starting anything romantic about it. And I've always been kind of surprised by the effect that my my husband has on because when I remember very distinctly the first time he invited me for a dance, and I looked at him and I said, well, it's just another guy,
Yeah.
I'm dancing salsa, and it's a social dance. You accept dancing, with anyone who invites you. And so I just accepted, but the moment, he took my hand, and I felt like, like butter in the pan.
Yeah.
How does he do this?